Good morning. It's Monday, the 27th of June. I have a little time between surgery today, so I thought I would address a question that was brought up recently about antibiotic resistance. Obviously, it's a major problem. Antibiotic resistance generally develops because a bacteria is exposed to an antibiotic at a sublethal dose and they don't die. So they figure out how to avoid death by exposure to chemicals that don't cause a lethal injury. That kind of got me thinking about to the days when I farmed. I used to farm. I farmed for about 20 years, row crop farming, corn, soybeans, wheat, and rice. And during that period of time, we learned a lot about weed resistance, not marijuana, but weeds like Johnson grass, pigweed, Palmer amaranth. Those are weeds that impact crop, fruit. So what we learned was, many of you probably are aware of, we have crops nowadays that are where you can spray Roundup and different chemicals over them, where years ago you couldn't do that. That's called Roundup Ready crops. Basically what's happened is the bioengineers have developed a gene that codes for the tolerance to Roundup. Well, that gets us to the point of, why do weeds develop resistance? Well, weeds develop resistance to chemicals just like bacteria develop resistance to chemicals. They're exposed to chemicals to prevent their growth, cause death, so the crops can thrive. Well, what happens is, this is exactly what happens. Being a farmer, I can tell you exactly what happens. Farmers are trying to make a living. So if they can make the same harvest with a lower amount of chemical, they save money, and that goes to their bottom line. So what farmers have done is they have seen that, well, we can use a quart works really great per acre. Say a quart of Roundup works great per acre. I mean, nothing survives except the crop. So what they did is they would go, well, maybe half a quart will work, and then my expenses per acre on weed control will be 50% less. So they try it. We're going to go a half a quart per acre. Well, what happens? Well, the vast majority of the weeds are killed, but you have some weeds that are injured but not killed. So when you injure something, you expose it to a chemical, and it's trying to figure out how not to die. So genes are turned on, genes are turned off, and repeated exposure to sublethal doses will allow that plant to figure out how not to die. And that's exactly what happens with bacterial resistance. A complaint about the treatment that we're forced to use right now for chronic bacterial cystitis, which is high-dose antibiotics. Sure, it causes a lot of problems, I get it. But if you watch patients that have been treated somewhere else, they come in and they're on, say, once a day instead of twice a day. Those are the people that you can see, they're the ones that develop resistance. The people that have dead bacteria do not develop resistance. The people that have bacteria that are injured or exposed to sublethal doses, those are the ones that develop resistance. So you have to be very careful about backing off of doses. You have to be very careful about using an interval that's not appropriate for the medication. Say macrobid once a day. Won't work. Even worse than not working is that that's exactly what creates resistance. Sublethal doses. If you want to get rid of this problem, and it's insane that it can take a year or two to do that, but the antibiotic must be in your urine 24 hours a day. If you go for a period of time where that antibiotic concentration in your urine is at a sublethal dose, number one, you're letting the bacteria be exposed for the potential for resistance. And number two, you're not killing them, which is the goal. You want to kill every bacteria that becomes exposed to the urine and the antibiotic in the urine. So I got to go. They're ready. I'll try to check back with you guys later. Bye.